Hello again. In this video, I'm showing the charging of a lithium iron phosphate battery in an RV, but in a smaller scale, because this lithium ion battery is only 26 amp hours. So I have a lithium ion battery, I have an inverter, and we also have a charger, a shore power charger, and we have a battery monitor. Is not very accurate, but it's good enough for this purpose. We also have a cell balancer for the battery, very important. And then we have a 100 amp BMS. This is a 100 amp BMS, and a couple of watt meter. This is a watt meter for the load going into the inverter, and this is a watt meter for the charger going into the battery. And for low, we use a 100 watt incandescent light bulb. So this BMS is a very good for self-protection. It would shut off the charging when the voltage of any one of the cells goes about 3.65 volt. And also will shut off the discharging when any one of the cells go less than 2.5 volts. So the upper limit is 3.65 and the lower limit is 2.5. And in order for charge the battery properly, I have set up the constant current and constant voltage charger. The constant current is 15 amp going into a 26 amp hour battery. So it's a little bit over 0.5 C, and the constant voltage is 14.6 volt. So 14.6 volt is the same as 4 cells at 3.65 volt. So 3.65 times 4 is 14.6. But in order for me to demonstrate this charging protection phenomenon, I deliberately jack up the constant voltage to 14.8 volt. So let's start the charging process right now. I'm turning on the charging power. So charging power. Now it is on, and right now the charging current is 7 amp, now down to 6 amp, 5 amp, and the voltage is 14.76 volt. The reason I could charge it at such a high voltage is because the cells are well balanced by this cell balancer. So the cells are well balanced, and you could take a look at the cell voltages, all 4 of them. It's very nicely balanced, even though this is not accurate, but it's showing its balance. And you can see the voltage. Okay, it just stopped charging. You see the current, it just dropped to 0 amp. It's 14.8 volt. So 14.8 volts and 0 amp. We could look at the cell voltages. The cell voltages is only 3.5 something volt, so it's well within its limit. Now it starts charging again. It's okay. Now stop charging. Stop charging. And this is also the battery voltage, 14.8 volt. I'm sorry. This should be the charging voltage, 14.8 volt, because the shell just shut off. So it protects the cells pretty well. Now all the cells are 3.5. Now start charging again, charging again, charging again. 3.6. Now it stopped charging. So the BMS is doing its job. protect the cells when it is above. When the surface charge on the cells come down, it will start charging again. So it will charge up very steeply and then it will stop. So right now 0 amp, we're waiting for it to start charging again. So it should start. Okay, now start charging again. 3 amps, 2 amps, 2 amps, 0. It stopped charging. So the BMS is doing its job. So right now let's turn on the low and see what happened. So we are turning on 100 watt of AC low on the system. So right now it's actually 118 watts including the parasitic on the inverter. So between the inverter and the 100 watt light bulb, right now we're drawing about 120 watts. And we could look at the charging profiles again. It's charging at 125 watts. So it's charged enough to keep up with the light bulb and also maintaining the battery. I'm wondering it will shut off again or not, but we'll wait and see what happened when the cell voltages get above 3.65 volt. So now the cell voltages is pretty steady at 3.5 volts. It's not going any higher. So in order for it to trip, one of the cell has to get about 3.65 volt. And also the battery has to go about 14.6 volt. Right now the battery is only 13.8 volt. Even the charging voltage is 14.7. So charging voltage is 14.7. The battery is 13.8. And the highest cell voltages is only 3.5. So in order for me to trip the charging, I have to increase the charging voltage. And because the BMS is so reliable, so I don't mind to increase the charging voltage without worrying about damaging the lithium battery. So now the charging voltage is almost 15 volt. It's not quite 15. Let me crank it up more. Okay, right now it's 15 volts. Charging voltage 15 volt. And the cell voltage is not quite 3.65. So I need to keep cranking up the charging voltage so that it will trip the BMS. Okay, right now it's 15.8 volt. 15.8 volt. And the cell voltage is still not 3.65 yet. So I will keep going and see what happens. By the way, this is the first time I'm doing it. So you and I are seeing it for the first time. Let's go to 16 volt. Okay, now it's about 16 volt. 16 volt. And the cell voltage is 3.6. 3.6. Well, even at 16 volt, it's still not tripping. And the battery voltage is 15 volt here. The cell voltage is 3 points. Actually, I'm sorry, it actually tripped a couple of times, but because of the light bulb, so the charger continue to feed the light bulb. Now, see that? When it's 8 amp, it tripped. When it's a 15 amp, it's not, because the 15 amp is to feed the light bulb as well as the battery. So we could watch right now. The BMS is protecting the cells because it's at 8 amps. So the BMS is protecting the cell because at 8 amp. And when it go above 8 amps, we know the BMS open up again and let the charger to charge the battery. So still 8 amp, now 15 amp, 14 amp, 14 amp, now back to 8 amp. So it's protecting it. So this is a system that we have as an experimental model, and the light was not interrupted. So this is truly behave like a turnkey system. It will not overcharge the battery but protect the battery. And because the BMS is a one-sided BMS, that means it's a common side between charge and discharge side. So there's no separate charge side or discharge side, it's only one side. So there's a lot of advantage of using a BMS that have a common side and also solid state, because it does not have any relays to shut things on and off, and the MOSFET transistor is doing its job quietly and protecting the battery. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will do more of this kind of video in the future. Have a good day.